We like that. Woo!
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B Jizzle.
Hey, and it's your co-host that does it the most. It's your boy at Rick Masters 23. Rick Masters, let's go, B Jizzle.
Like my man said, you know what I'm saying? We're back with another great show for y'all today. But before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like button as y'all enter in. Hit the share, hit the subscribe. Show your love to the basketball podcast. Wipe your feet before you enter this house. All that good stuff is, support the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast by any means necessary. We got a very special guest today. He needs no introduction, man. He's a 9-time champion with the Bulls, Spurs, 4-time champion coach with the Golden State Warriors, man. Basketball fanado, man. Great basketball mind, but even a better person. I want to give the floor to my man, Mr. Steve Kerr. Thank you for coming on the show, sir.
BJ, Rick, thank you guys for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
And we happen to have you. How's everything going with you first, man? How's everything in life?
Good. You know, it's funny. It always takes about a month after the season ends to really wind down. You know, you think when you finish the season, whether you win or lose, you think, you know, get home for a few days, you know, get away, maybe take a little vacation. You think I'll be fine in a few days, and it takes like a good month because that NBA grind, that 9-month haul, you know, you're just at it every single day, and it's like your body clock is set to shoot around and, you know, pregame and postgame and get on a plane and go. And so I've finally kind of wound down. It's been a month or so since we lost it to the Lakers in the playoffs, and obviously just had the draft last night. But I'm finally starting to feel like I'm refreshed and getting recharged.
Hey, man, so we can go get right into it. You know, first, before we talk about the picks that came for the Warriors, you personally being a coach, you know what I'm saying, multiple-time champion. For you personally, what do you look for as far as a coach building your roster year by year with this Golden State team? It's an up-and-down team, ball movement, three-point shooting, cutting, all that good stuff. What do you look for personally before you go into a draft?
Well, I think you know, for us, I mean, we try to look for guys who can play well with Steph, you know, because everything we do is based on Steph's unique ability to play on and off the ball. You know, he's so different from every other star in the league, and we're at our best when we have guys who play well with Steph, who can utilize his off-ball gravity and leverage that threat that he is, to where we're generating other, offensive strategies and openings against the defense. And then obviously when he's got the ball, you know, we want to set screens for him. We want to create space for him. And so the more players that we can have who really understand the game, who feel the game, who are versatile, can dribble, pass, and shoot. You know, that's what we're looking for. But you're always looking for guys who can survive on the defensive end too, who've got size and length, and that's the name of the game in the NBA these days. You know, everybody's looking for switchability and length, and so it's not easy to find those guys. But our front office has done a really good job of that over the years.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to give it to my man, Rick. The 19th pick, Brandon Podzinski out of Santa Clara. Bro, I'm going to give you the floor for Coach Kerr.
All right. Thank you, BJ. And Mr. Kerr, thanks again. Thanks again for showing up to the podcast. I'm very honored, man. You know, like I said, been watching since the 90s, early 2000s. So we already know who you are, but very honored to be here with you in your presence. So I'll jump right into it. With Brandon Podzinski, okay, 6'5". I was watching some of his videos, you know, looking at him at Santa Clara, of course, looking at him in the Columbine that he had. So I'm noticing, you know, the guy obviously can create shots, you know, and then, like I said, compared to other NBA players from the TV, he looks like he's a little bit small, but we know he's 6'5". He has incredible handles. I mean, my first question is, honestly, how do you see, you know, you being a coach, how do you see him being implemented into that Golden State Warriors system?
Well, number one, we were excited that he was available. There were a couple guys we were really interested in knowing, who might be available when we picked, and he was one of them. And so we were thrilled. And the reason we were excited is because he's got a really good, set of tools. I mean, he can dribble, pass, shoot. He's unafraid. He's got good size. He can build a lot of momentum going to the hoop and finish at the rim. He's got a nice float game. And, he shot 43% from three, I think, last year at Santa Clara. And he averaged 8.5 rebounds a game, which is almost unheard of for a guard. So a lot of great numbers that translate well, too. There's certain numbers that usually translate, and rebounding is one of them that shows a real knack for the ball and for anticipating plays. And so we like Brandon's skill set and also just his makeup and his aggressiveness. And we think he's got a chance to be a really good player.
Okay. Yeah, because when I was looking at the highlights, I was like, man, I definitely could see him in this, in the system, because I know you guys move the ball a lot. Very fast pace. We already know what Steph can do. Like I said, every time I watch him, I got to stop everything, because he throws the ball up. He's like, it's going in. So we already know what he can do. But I was gonna say, so pretty much with that being said, when it comes to Brandon, where do you see personally, because like I said, I know you coach everyone, but where do you see him personally? Like, where is his cap? Do you see him being more of a shooter, more of a distributor? Like, how would you personally play him?
I think it would be unfair for me to make that assessment today. I think we need to see him in training camp, in the exhibition season, see him for a full rookie year, and really get a feel for him as a person, as an athlete, as a competitor. So we like all the skills that we see, the size, the makeup, but you never know. You never know how it's going to play out, and guys have to go out and earn it. And we're going to give Brandon every opportunity to do that.
All right. I appreciate you. BJ, back to you.
All right, man. Like I said, go and hit the like button as y'all enter in. All my people, we got all these people in the audience, man. Hit that like button. Got Mr. Coach Kerr into the building. He was gracious enough to take all the time of his busy schedule. So, Coach, this one actually is, I know Brandon's great. Santa Clara, hometown kid, San Francisco, right up the street from, the Warriors Arena, all that good stuff. But I'm interested in also the 57 pick y'all got in Trayce Jackson-Davis. Now, Indiana to me is one of those states, to me, like, they know how to play basketball. Everybody that comes out of there knows how to play basketball through and through. What is it that Trayce Jackson-Davis caught your eye? To me personally, he kind of resembles a little bit of Draymond a little bit. As far as his intangibles, his mind, how he passes the ball. He just knows how to play the game a great feel. What did you do to catch your eye to get him on the draft board?
Yeah, talking to our scouts, the guys who do this all year long, they loved his ability to make plays out of the pocket, and pick and roll. So you can picture him setting a screen for Steph.
Yes.
You can picture Trey setting a screen, rolling to the rim, catching a lob, and finishing. But also, if they blitz Steph, for example, he can get into that short roll, catch, and move the ball on like Draymond does so well. He's a dribble handoff guy, so you can, if he's trailing the play and you swing it to him, he's going to be great, dribbling to the weak side, DHO with Clay for a jumper, diving to the rim. He's a traditional big. He's an excellent rebounder, plays with force, runs the floor hard. Our guys thought he had a chance to go in the first round. So, to get him at 57 was really kind of a coup.
To be honest, Coach, I think he was the steal of the draft. Based off of how y'all play, y'all got the guards. That's none the mess. So the main thing is with the running bigs that y'all have even had in the past with JaVale, Andrew Bogut, all that stuff. That separates y'all and makes y'all in the cream of the crop. So do you feel like Jackson can make an impact? Because he's 23. He's seasoned, been in the system for 4 years, and by his basketball mind, Do you feel like he can make an immediate impact? Or do you feel like training camp will be the time to see that?
Yeah, again, I think you have to give these guys time and really get a look at them. The great thing for Trace is that if you look at our roster, our bigs really are Draymond and Looney and Kuminga. We don't have a big team. We don't have a big group of big guys on our roster. So he immediately becomes a viable option at that position. I like the fact that he played, I think, 120 something games in college for Indiana. That experience as a 23-year-old will make him much more experienced right away than half the NBA. The league has gotten so young that the vast majority of these guys have barely played any basketball. So I love the fact that Trace has played 4 years in college, played for Mike Woodson, NBA coach, NBA system, great conference in the Big Ten, great basketball tradition, sold out crowds at Indiana. Like, that stuff matters. And so I think he's got a real opportunity with us, and it's got a chance to be a good fit.
I got one more thing before I give it back to my man, Rick. So, Coach, and by your personal opinion, Brandon Podzinski's he's from Poland. How do you see is it exciting kind of see all the international players coming in the draft and playing over here in the States, getting an opportunity to show their skill set? Like, how have you been keeping a close eye on that over the past few years about the international play?
Yeah. I mean, it's this league now is it's amazing. There are players from all over the world. I don't know how far back Brandon's Polish heritage goes. I know he's from the Milwaukee area, so it may be a generation back that was actually from Poland. But when you look at the international game today, and I've been coaching in FIBA, for a couple of years with Coach Popovich and the Olympics in 21, the World Cup in 19. Nobody's afraid of the USA anymore because you got all these guys who over 100 foreign players who are in the NBA. They're not afraid anymore like they used to be. And if you look at the list of the best players in the league, however you want to make that list, there's 3 guys right near the very top in Jokic, Giannis, and Luka. There's great basketball being played all over the world.
I'm gonna give it back to you, Rick.
All right, appreciate you, BJ. Appreciate you. And so, of course, Mr. Kerr, I kind of wanted to touch on, since we already know who we have, right? We got Brandon and we have Davis, and so with those two, and then of course the rest of the roster, the team that we have now, I just want you to kind of elaborate and give us kind of a backstage, view of what goes on in Mr. Kerr's mind when we're getting ready for a new season. Like, what are we prepping for? Like, what kind of training do we do? I mean, I'm sure it's based off of, last performances, so the playoffs and things of that nature. But, just going into this new season for training camp and things of that nature, getting ready for the actual season start, what are your preparations and what do you pretty much, plan? Like, what do you get ready?
Yeah, that's what makes coaching fun, Rick, is that every season is different. And depending on how the season ends, you're looking at where you can improve going into the next one. Mm-hmm. And I think we were all disappointed that we didn't have a better season this year defending our championship. And so when I look at next year's team, I see some things that I've got to do better as a coach. We were 29th in turnovers, per game. We can't be a high turnover team anymore. We're not where we were 5 years ago, where we were so gifted and talented, we could survive, giving possessions away. So that's something that's my job as a coach. How do we teach that? How do we incorporate that into the mindset of the team? I think we've got to do a better job of helping the chemistry. We got a little off kilter last year. We've always had a great chemistry here, great culture. We got a little out of sync and I think you guys saw that. I think the whole basketball world recognized that. So, that means I've got to sit down with players, go out to dinner with them, visit with them in the summer, and really, message what we've got to look to do next year, both individually and group wise. So all that stuff is on my summer agenda, and I'll be excited once camp starts, because I think we will have a great chance to have a hell of a team.
Makes sense. My next question, Mr. Kerr, now you did mention 29th in turnovers. And so now I'm coming from a personal standpoint. I know when I start turning the ball over, it's because I'm probably just fat and out of shape. When I get winded, that bouncing that ball feels a little bit heavier and heavier. So do you think that it could be more of being in shape type of issue, or just a miscommunication type of issue as a whole team, far as a whole?
I think it's just risk reward. Our guys are in great shape. Sometimes early in the season you have to reach another level of conditioning, but usually by the second or third week of the season, these guys are all in great condition and can play 40 minutes. It's really more decision making and mentality. And I think we've always been a team that's played fast, but it's paid off for us to play fast. This past year, we were number 1 in pace and 29th in turnovers, and we weren't great in transition. We didn't have a high points per possession in transition. That's not a good combination. If you're going to play fast, you got to convert, and so you can't give possessions away. So those are all things that we've got to clean up and get better with.
All right, BJ, back to you.
All right, man. I know Coach Kerr got a busy schedule, so we won't hold him too much longer. But, Coach, I got to ask this. For you being the coach of winning 4 championships with the Warriors, you've obviously been mentored by Pop and Phil. So, going into coaching, what is this something? Do you feel like you take 2 personalities? Because when I watch you coach, I see both. I see the cool, calm, collected Coach Kerr, and I see the rowdy Steve Kerr, who can get a little bit upbeat. So, is that just something that you've taken from both sides, or is that just you personally, how you are?
I think it's just me personally. I think, both. I really leaned into the advice and the mentoring of both Phil and Pop. 2 of the great coaches of all time, obviously. So I had a great mentorship from those guys. They both really advised me, be yourself. The players will know if you're trying to be somebody else. You got to be authentic. And I think I've definitely taken a lot from each. When you see our split cuts, when you see us throw the ball into the post to Draymond and Steph and Clay are running splits, that's straight out of the triangle. That's straight Phil Jackson, Tex Winter, Chicago Bulls triangle basketball. You see some of the other actions that we run with off-ball movement and, the ball swinging side to side into a pick and roll. That's Greg Popovich. That's the Spurs. That's Tony Parker, weak and strong stuff. So I think we're all, as coaches, we're all products of our environments, products of our upbringing. Those guys taught me a lot, and I incorporate a lot of the things that they taught me into the Warriors style.
Yeah, because I see a lot of the Spurs into your offense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like you add the 3-point shooting with Steph and Clay and those pieces. So I personally think that when it comes to that, that's why I think makes you top 5 coach of all time. Like, I ain't trying to even ruffle your feathers. I think you're top 5.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
Yes, sir.
I think biggest thing for me is, that I want our players to feel like they're all part of the action every time down. And one of the things Phil taught me was that if players are just not touching the ball, if they're coming down every play and they're running to the corner or the wing and they're just not touching it, and then they get disinterested, and then they're not playing great defense, and then they don't feel emotionally into the game. But the beauty of the triangle offense is all 5 guys were constantly touching it. And then they're getting engaged, and then they're more emotionally involved. And that's one of the reasons we lead the league in passing attempts year after year, passes completed. I want everybody feeling part of things because it emboldens the group. And Greg Popovich's system is very, very similar. Everybody part of it, feeling the ball and being part of making a play one way or the other. It's great for the group.
Cool. Hey, Rick, you got any more questions for Coach before we let him go?
I got one more question before we let him go. So, Coach Kerr, so my question is, we already know you played with some of the greatest players, you played against some of the greatest players, and now you have one of the greatest players on your team. And I don't know if a lot of people that are on the show right now knows this, but Coach Kerr, I mean, if y'all haven't watched him or grown up watching him or whatnot, we already know it historically. He's a very accurate three-point shooter. So we know that Steph Curry can shoot. We know that Coach can shoot. And so my question to you is, was there really anything you had to teach Curry, or did he kind of come with it already?
No, I've never talked to him about his shot. He was an all-star by the time I became the coach here. I learned a lot from him, watching him work out. He trains so hard. His shooting routine after practice ends is mesmerizing, and I've had a lot of our players watch Steph to try to pick up on some of the things that he does, and so I've learned as much from him as he has from me. But we've just had a great collaboration. But he's the greatest shooter of all time. I didn't have to teach him one thing.
I appreciate you answering my question. That's it, PJ.
You got it.
All right, man. I know that was a quick little interview, but hey, Coach Kerr, I definitely appreciate you coming through and everything that you've done for the Warriors, man. I'm extremely humbled. Personally love the game of basketball, player myself, so definitely respect for everything that you've done for the team. Do you want to say anything else before we end the live?
Yeah, BJ, thank you, Rick. You guys have a great show, and I really enjoyed it. And it's everybody who loves basketball, man. It's so much fun to be part of the league and to talk about it. And I love that you guys are doing this podcast, and keep at it, man. I'll be watching you guys.
We appreciate that, Coach.
Definitely appreciate that. Thank you.